Konnichiwa.
Welcome to the Jandals in Japan podcast.
Kia ora, Catherine.
Well, it's actually a little bit of a konbanwa tonight, Jane.
Konbanwa, it is.
We're going out of plan of usual morning. We're going to the evening series.
Friday night drinkies. And before we get started, I just need a little bit of help. Should I choose? So we've got my beverages for the evening here. Premium malts
Can you lift it up just a little bit? Oh, yes, right.
Beer by Suntory. Or Kinmugi Happoshu beer, also by Suntory.
Well, I know the old premium malts very well, and I just automatically choose that because I know it. But I don't know the other one. Is the other one sake?
So this is a Happoshu, so it's a cheap beer.
A cheap beer. Well,
Okay,
I'd like you to try that. I'd love to hear what your feeling is after having it, if you like it.
Well, this is my husband's go-to Happoshu because Happoshu is beer, right? But it's much cheaper than actual beer.
So what's the difference? Is it not made
what it's made from?
Oh, the origin, the underlying.
I think it's got other things in it that makes it cheaper. It skirts the taxes.
That's right.
The beer, right? Beer has certain taxes on it, right?
I think taxi drivers in Tokyo told me that. Now I recall. Yes.
And so if you're like,
is this good sound.
Is this a beer or is this a Happoshu? You can see that it doesn't have the word beer on it anywhere, even though it looks like beer. It doesn't have the word beer on it.
But it's not. Do you have a matching glass for it?
I have a cute little premium malts glass here.
Oh, you do? You've got it at least on brand with Suntory.
Yeah. So, Catherine, if you're having a beverage, one must always have some otsumami, which is a snack, because one does not drink on an empty stomach in Japan.
No.
Very gyogiwaru, very bad to drink on an empty stomach. So what have you got for your otsumami this evening?
Two things. One is, I've already halfway through.
Jagariko, yes.
Jagariko!
Oh, sarada jagariko, okay.
Yeah,
yes.
those are my faves.
Mm-hmm.
Really. And then these are also super good, usually with beer. But I got these tonight on the way home because I thought they would be yummy. The
Kakipi.
Yeah, kakipi, right? But it's got piri kara. It's a piri kara, so it's actually got a bit of spicy in it. So I thought I want the spicy ones.
Atohiki kakipi. So it's this famima one, is it?
Yes, a family mart on the way home. 86 grams, 474 calories.
Is that all? It's a meal.
It's a meal in itself.
The packet. Well,
these are great.
Have.
Oh, look.
Kakipi.
How did that happen? You normally would have this.
Well, that too, but somebody already ate all the jagariko in my house. So, this is all there was. So I'm also having.
What is it
Kaki
about
no tane.
Kaki no tane. What is that? They're meant to look like little seeds. Is that right? But a long
seeds from the persimmon, right?
Persimmon. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Kaki no tane.
Yeah. That's the kaki it's talking about. So if you've ever eaten a persimmon, it's got these quite big seeds in it that are shaped like this, right? And that's where the kaki comes from, even though it doesn't taste like persimmon. So it's a very, I'm not sure how they ever came up with that name.
I don't know. And that's another thing to investigate, I suppose, in this world of Japan. But I've got peanuts with mine. Have you got peanuts?
Yes, of course. You got to have peanuts in there.
Why are there peanuts included in this? It's quite a crazy combination.
Perfect combination. Because you can buy just the kaki no tane, right? Just the tane, just the bits that look like the seeds. And then you can also just buy the peanuts. Sometimes they actually just sell the peanuts as well. Or sometimes they sell them with more peanuts than, because they have a certain amount of peanuts they put in each packet. It's the perfect amount of peanuts, but sometimes they have ones with extra peanuts.
God, you're classy.
Yeah.
Listen to this. Jane knows her snacks.
How deep it goes into otsumami here in Japan.
Well, this actually says in English, irresistible rice crackers and peanuts.
There you go. And I believe they're gluten-free.
And what?
Don't quote me on that, but I would have thought there was some soy sauce in the actual coating of the things, but they're made from rice.
There you go. We both have the same snacks.
Yeah.
I am going for not New Zealand sparkling. This is actually Carver. So that means it comes from Spain, right?
Oh,
and look at the little stickers that you might, I think you buy this one too, but it's the real favorite because it's a mini bottle. It's great for a small session without getting too excited. And it's number 1, Carver in maybe Japan.
Yeah, that's one of our favorites too.
I do like
Kampai then.
And Kampai. Why are we doing a Kampai tonight, Jane?
Well, we are Kampai anyway. Kampai. We are celebrating our 40th episode of Jandals in Japan. So we thought, why not have a little online Nomi? What do they call it? Nomi. Yeah, ONline NOMIkai. Celebrate our 40th episode. How exciting is that?
It is very exciting to think, we went from 0, of course, to now 40. And wow, can't thank enough the people who have fed back lots of information to us about how much they enjoy the episodes, who get a little upset when we go on summer holiday and they don't get to hear them.
People miss us, thank you.
And just people who've quoted from some of the episodes or who've been so excited to hear New Zealand voices on a talking together. All of that, it's just been really great, right? As well as the information that obviously all of our guests are giving out, the real gems of information that they're sharing. Yeah.
It's been really, really cool. I have loved meeting all of the people along the way in our episodes. But tonight it's just you and me. And we had a little help tonight from ChatGPT. It's going to help us with the questions tonight. So I think it should be a bit of fun.
Yeah.
So if you're listening, why don't you think along what might be your answer to this question?
Well, these were amazing questions, weren't they, that came up out of a prompt. And I think the prompt was, what would you use as questions on a New Zealand podcast in Japan, or a podcast about New Zealand in Japan?
And Japan or something.
And
something
Japan
like that.
The other way around. Yeah. So I'm going to ask you the first one because I'm getting in first. All right. So it's around Kiwi and Japanese cuisine. And the question is that ChatGPT threw out, would you rather have a traditional Kiwi meat pie, poi, or a Japanese sushi roll for breakfast, and why?
Oh, that's actually a tough choice. Because I'm not a big fan of Japanese breakfast, as in having rice for breakfast and stuff.
Okay.
But a pie for breakfast? Unless it had been a big night the night before, then it might be a 2-pie morning. Who knows how bad, depending on how bad the night, how bad last night was. I would have to go with the sushi roll, I think. I'd regret the pie.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
What would you do?
It's so funny. I had the same thing come up for me. It was, which one would I have? I don't normally have breakfast anyway. So to have one of these two would be a bit challenging, which shows to me how far I may have grown apart from the Kiwi pie, which I really love. But maybe it's the time of day. And maybe I would go with the sushi roll as well, just because I'd know that the fish is kind of fresh.
It'd be good, right?
And the rice would be probably a little warmer maybe in the morning, I'm hoping. So I'd probably go with that. Is that bad that we both did not choose the pie?
I think we've come a long way though, haven't we? Like our taste buds have changed over 20 years of living in Japan. If you'd asked me the same question 20 years ago, I would have said definitely a pie, make it 2.
I would be interested to hear
on the
what
side.
others think. I would love to hear when they hear this episode to tell us what they would choose.
But do you like a Japanese breakfast these days?
Well, I've had a couple recently because I've been traveling around Japan and there've been some Japanese items on the breakfast menu. And I have chosen, I have to say, miso soup because I actually really like miso soup. And I can have it in the morning. What else did I have? No, that's not. That's just like a tamagoyaki, right? So just some scrambled eggs, basically. Yeah, egg. And I did have some rice wrapped in, I would have, the separate seaweed that you can get, the crispy seaweed, and wrap it in that nori.
Oh, that's
I did actually have that at a couple of places.
That's
So,
pretty
that's
tame
good.
Japanese breakfast though, like, not with the natto and the just
Oh no,
smelly, fishy thing,
No,
eggs and fish eggs and stuff.
no.
No, I can't do it. I can't do it. My husband willingly eats that for breakfast every single morning, and I'm like, "Aren't you sick of that?" And he's like, "Aren't you sick of your whatever it is you eat?" I'm like, "Okay, moving on."
We grow up with what we're used to. And I remember, some people say, why don't you have Wheat Bix? And I don't like Wheat Bix. So I've never been a Wheat Bix kid.
No,
Kiwi kids
no.
are maybe not Wheat Bix kids all the time. So
Mm.
no.
Alrighty, I'll ask you one then.
Ooh.
Unique souvenirs. What's the most unique souvenir or gift you've received from New Zealand or Japan, and what's the story behind it?
From New Zealand or Japan?
You must have had some pretty
No, sometimes from
odd.
Japan, it's kind of usual ones that people don't think so much out of the box. No disrespect, but like a furoshiki or a fan or something like that.
Hmm.
Occasion, I remember the first time I got what is it, the kendama,
Right.
that game that
Mm-hmm.
you flip.
Kindama. Mm.
That, for me, at the first time I got that was really unusual,
Mm.
if I think back to that. So that would be the one I'd choose for Japan. And
Mm.
we used to have a big competition in the family household with this kendama
With the
thing.
kindama. Mm.
Yeah, so couldn't
Cool.
do all the tricks, but at least try and do that. I
Mm.
think that's actually quite a good one. But for me, that's unique to
Mm-hmm.
Japan. I don't think I've seen that anywhere else ever. And it's never been brought and manufactured in New Zealand, right? And New Zealand to Japan? Ooh, that's got me.
I've got one.
And
So,
I don't want to say there's no buzzy bees and things like that. So I'm going to throw that to you then.
yeah,
What have you
yeah.
got for that one?
So my kind of odd souvenir was last time my mum came, she brought pukeko poo with her.
That's a good one.
And what was the other one? The other one was like sheep poo or something. And what they actually were, the pukeko poo was Jaffas. What
Oh
we
my
used to know
God.
as Jaffas. And but in a little bag that was all labeled up as poo kiko poo, and I think the sheep poo one was the sheep droppings was like chocolate raisins.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Hang on a minute. Was
so
it Pakeko poo? Was it Jaffa's covered in chocolate or rough chocolate or something? Ooh, gosh, what am I
I
saying?
can't remember, but that's what essentially
So
was inside the
funny.
packet. Yeah, and the kids thought it was great, and I
That
was
is actually very funny.
yeah.
Okay, right. Mission. Next time I go to New Zealand, which is not far from now, I am going to get some. Let's actually, you and I are both going to New Zealand, so
Yes,
let's
let's see
find
if
the
find some.
crazy ones and we'll pop them on the next Jandals in Japan
Yeah, yeah.
when we
Maybe we'll
and
give them
show them.
away. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
My
Oh my
goodness.
goodness. That
Alrighty.
is really, really funny. Well, it's a little bit related to this. It's around curiosities. A quick sort of cultural quirk or tradition from New Zealand or Japan that you, Jane, find fascinating or amusing.
Oh goodness, which one shall we pick? What about the tooth fairy?
Oh, that's a good one. God,
Because
you're on the game
in New
today.
Zealand, right, we put kids' teeth under the pillow and then they wake up in the morning, they get their money, and it's like, yay, bugger, I have to do the tooth fairy tonight. Don't let me forget. My kid lost a tooth this morning, so don't let me forget. Anyway, here in Japan, if you lose a tooth, you throw it over the roof of your house. If it's a bottom tooth, you want your bottom teeth to grow up straight, right? So you'll throw it over the top of your house. And if
Hmm.
it's a top tooth, you want them to grow down straight, so you throw it under your house.
Wow. Where
Mm.
did that come from?
And so, like, my kids obviously live in Japan, but we practice New Zealand tooth fairy protocols in our house. So they get money and they go to school, and their friends are like, "What? We just threw ours over the roof, and you got 500 yen." It's up to the tooth fairy dishes out 500 yen these days.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, there
Mm.
was a price increase.
Well, I remember
There's
it was
been
only
inflation. Yeah,
remember it was only 10 cents or
it used
something
to be a
like that. It
dollar
wasn't
or something.
much.
Hmm.
I used to believe in the tooth fairy though. Oh my goodness, I thought it was amazing. Almost so I think also my brothers used to they used to try and get their teeth out so they could get
Yeah,
stuff.
right.
Money.
My son is going through a phase of like losing all of his teeth at the moment. It's, how you see kids of a certain age with no teeth. That's him.
Mm.
He's like making a lot of money,
Mm. I
doing really
think the
well.
funny thing in Japan that I liked is I really like setsubun. right? When you have the beans and you can go and buy the beans, right? And count out, you have enough beans for your age, right? So if you're 16, you have 16 beans in your hand. If you're over 50, whatever it is, you have 50 of them. And you can eat them,
You're supposed
but
to
also
eat them.
you're supposed to eat those. But the other part of it is throwing them, isn't it, at the Oni, the devil, to get rid of the devil and making sure that fuku comes in. Oni wa soto, fuku wa uchi. So I kind of remember that I really liked that.
Where have you done that? Do you just hang out at your house chucking beans around by yourself, or?
Yes, actually. And I try not to let people see, but obviously the aftermath is there. But the other time was once I went to a shrine and they were dishing it out with like sumo wrestlers and famous people. And that was fun. Like it would hit you and it sort of like hurts when it pings you when they're throwing it from the top of the shrine. But that was really cool. I really enjoyed that because it was famous people. So those were in the days where I followed around every festival in Japan and got a taste. So I really got to know what Setsubun was around that. So I quite liked that one. It's kind of curious to me.
I'm always keen to avoid Setsubun. It's just a lot of mess. Throwing beans and then having to tidy them up and stuff. So no, you can do that at school.
I think the other one, like Tooth Fairy, is putting stuff out for Santa, isn't it? The carrot and stuff. And I know our friend Jennifer Shinkai does that a lot. And I remember once she gave me some sparkles and stuff for the reindeer in a little packet. And I remember throwing reindeer food. I threw that outside and I was like, oh my God, glitter all over the staircase coming up to my apartment. Oops. Anyway, that was fun though. Yeah.
Oh dear. What else is on our list from ChatGPT? What do we got here? All right. I think we have to get into the Kiwi slang versus Japanese slang.
Yeah, I think so.
Thank you, ChatGPT, for this one.
Yeah.
So the question is, can you share a favorite Kiwi slang term or a quirky Japanese phrase you've come across and what it means?
Well, you've got plenty on the Japan side, which I can't wait for you to share. But mine, as I was coming home tonight, I thought, yeah, nah.
Yeah, nah.
That is so New Zealand to say yeah, nah, or yeah, no, right? Yeah, nah. And
yeah, nah.
It's so what do you mean? Do you mean yes or no? I mean, yeah, I hear what you're saying, but no, not going for that. So I love yeah, no. Yeah, nah, yeah, nah. Because I don't really use it much in Japan, but when I'm back in New Zealand, it's yeah, nah. So that one it's funny when you come back into your own ecosystem, you hear these and you start using them a lot more. So that one came up for me. But while you're thinking of your ones, which are just awesome, I'll sit tight for a bit on that one. Did you have a Kiwi one that you wanted to say before you say your Japanese one?
Well, I've had to really adjust my English since I've been here, right? And so if I go around saying words like rubbish or like primary school or holidays or chili bin, togs, all of those ones, nobody's going to understand me. So my English has become quite sort of Americanized living here. And so, if I go back to New Zealand, I have to make a effort to switch back, right?
Hey, Jandals is one of them, isn't it? How many times have we had to explain Jandals?
Jandals, yeah.
Jandals. Well, I'm interested to hear these Japanese phrases that you've heard recently from your very well-tuned sources.
Yeah, so my sources are obviously located here in Fukushima and they're 9 and 12 years old. So if you have not heard these phrases, and please don't use these because they may not be appropriate usage for A, foreigners or B, adults.
Warning.
So, but I just thought it was really fun to sort of try and keep tabs on how the Japanese language is changing, right? And certainly when I came here, different words were popular, and now my kids are teaching me the latest slang. And thanks to YouTube, they're also teaching me the latest slang in English as well. And I'm like, oh, that's a phrase.
That's interesting.
Where shall we start? What have we got here? So if you want to say something's like really cute.
Really cute. Yeah, I'm writing notes.
Because that's very important in Japan to say things are cute, right?
True.
There's a lot of cute stuff, right? So I think this could be quite useful. You may hear it. But it's bachi kuso kawaii. Bachi.
Bachi?
Bachi kuso. Kawaii.
But usually
So
kuso
bachi
has a
kuso
bad...
is like really,
really cute.
really cute.
But doesn't kuso normally have a bad meaning, like something else? But put
Well,
together,
so
this is a new word.
kuso can be used in all kinds of
Wow,
ways.
bachi
Yeah.
kuso kawaii. Okay, right, I've got a
I
note.
wonder if you could slip that in somewhere in one of your meetings, Catherine, but probably not appropriate. But anyway,
Ooh, maybe not.
no.
Maybe not. No.
Okay,
Maybe
another
with
one.
one of the ladies in the team or in the lady
The
secretarial
younger
people, perhaps. I
ones.
could have a quiet one because we get on very well and we share lots of secret information. Quiet, stuff that you wouldn't tell necessarily broadly. So maybe I can try it there.
Okay, this one's quite good, and this might be quite useful, and potentially we could also potentially use this phrase,
Okay.
and it might be okay. Bairu. What do you think that might mean?
Bairu, by might be a, not B, but actually something like a V. Bairu. Sounds like
So it's
vile. It's not
viral.
vile. A viral?
So it's like
Bairu.
that's really cool. That could go viral. So kids will say like bairu when they like something that they think's really good. And it's a verb, so you would use it like taberu, bairu. Okay,
Oh, it's a verb.
it's a verb.
Bairu, bairu
Yeah.
suru. Or bairu.
Bairu,
Bairu
baita.
is a verb. Oh.
Yeah,
So that was cool.
baita. Yeah.
Baita. Sonka.
Apparently, yeah,
Wow. So things that are cool enough to go viral.
yeah.
Or were cool enough, they'll go viral.
So if you see
kind of
something
thing.
you really think it's like
That's
cool.
actually quite a good one. I quite like that one. I think I could use that without being wrapped over the knuckles.
be okay to use.
That would be
Could
okay.
be, I feel.
Wow, these are fun.
Yeah. I got a long list here, but another one that I've been hearing recently, and I'm like, wow, if you were just learning Japanese and you heard this, you'd be confused.
Okay.
And it was the word samui, right? Samui means
Samui.
cold, generally, right?
Yes.
But when my daughter says it, she says samu, samu, and I'm like, oh,
There's
that's
a bit
not
of tone
good.
in there.
Yeah. The delivery is important. It's not just
Samu.
samu.
Oh, and it looks like your eyes have got to widen as well.
Samu.
Samu.
So it's like that's not funny. That's not interesting.
Oh, it's so
Your joke sucked.
the joke is landed cold on the floor.
Yeah.
Dead on the floor, right? It's not good, not funny. Oh, and how many times does she say that to you in a day, I wonder?
We've had it a few times recently. So
Wow,
that's where I was hearing that and I was going, huh? And yeah, so well, obviously from the context, I gathered that she was not impressed with the joke or whatever it was we were talking about. So yeah.
So that's kind of around the drinking table, sort of at the restaurant, drinking places, rather than it's like a summer. You wouldn't say that in the office.
Oh God,
No.
no. And this is something that like she gave me a whole list of these words that they use, and I was like, wow, this is a really direct way of speaking. Like it's like I've got these other ones that I'm like, you don't hear adults talking to each other like this so much, surely. I'm not sure anyway. So amongst kids, it can be quite harsh in the way they talk to each other. And so that's kind of what I gathered from
I didn't even
slang.
know what we would do in English, or what would we'd just maybe go look at someone and not say anything and like, yeah, nah. Maybe that's a yeah, nah situation. I didn't get that one.
Or it'd just be like a groan or whatever.
Okay. Wow, those are cool. Is there anything else?
Yeah, so like, and especially young people like to say majide. Well, apparently we don't say majide anymore. We say gachi instead of maji, which is kind of like, really? So, anyway. You could probably live your life, survive, and not knowing what gachi means. But it's
but
just
it might be good with young, like when I visit your house and I use this word with one of the kids,
Be prepared to be laughed at.
I will. I'll
Yeah,
be prepared to be laughed at. I thought we were going to talk about too those sort of expressions that happen in Japan now, where people have changed the grammar. Like, when they ask you, "Yoroshicatta desho ka?" You're paying for money, or you're giving taking your order, and they'll say blah 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 blah. De yoroshicatta desho ka? Was that
That's
right?
okay, isn't it? Kind of is
Isn't
what they're
it?
saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got it right, haven't I?
I've got it right, haven't I? Which we might, I think it's an English influence perhaps on Japanese, because that's not what you say. You say "Yoroshi desho ka?" or "Daijoubu," it's not past tense before we've actually done it. So it's kind of funny like that. And the other one I picked up on, I hear quite a bit if I'm in the right circles, like kirei, the past tense of kirei, which is pretty, right? Kirei deshita. But now and then I'll hear kirei katta.
Eh?
And I'm like,
what? That's not right.
That's not right. And I almost want to correct.
Kirei.
I've heard that a couple of times when I was in Osaka. Kirei katta.
Oh.
I think maybe they're being funny. Like,
Okay.
maybe they're being a little bit, but kirei katta I've heard a few times. So that was an interesting one that I just jotted down as we were talking. But wow, language, it develops, doesn't it? There's things that we said. Like, remember when cool was cool and hot was cool?
Yeah. And now it's all about like spilling tea instead of beans. And I'm like, why do we have to change it?
What's wrong with beans?
Yeah, what's wrong with beans? But now apparently it's tea.
But that's
I have one more. I have one more phrase. I have one more phrase.
Yes, please.
Tsuki ga kirei desu ne.
Ski, as in the moon.
The moon. Tsuki ga kirei desu ne.
Tsuki ga kirei desu ne. So it obviously doesn't mean what that means.
No.
That the moon is pretty.
So if
or
someone says
beautiful.
that to you, it means I love you.
Ooh,
yeah. So this is my 12-year-old told me this. And so I looked it up just to confirm. And apparently it comes from Soseki Natsume.
No way.
Something in one of his novels.
That's incredible.
But apparently, if you say "Taiyo ga kirei desu ne," that means you are a narcissist. I don't know. I think that's a modern interpretation.
Modern take,
I'm not sure, but yeah. Taiyo ga kirei desu ne means you're a narcissist. Tsuki ga kirei desu ne means I love you. This is just one very small interview I did with two kids who live in Fukushima, and
wow, that is super fun.
But it is a good insight into like how language does change, right? And we're seeing it changing in English as well. Japanese too. Your Japanese that you're learning from your textbook, from your Genki, what is it? Genki textbook. I think they still use those textbooks.
Yeah.
It's very standard, but sometimes not what you're going to be hearing in your daily life in Japan, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I remember we had like even shashinka, a cameraman or photographer. In the
shashinka.
That's so ancient, but it was in the textbook, and I remember using it once in Japan. I was like this horrified look of,
which era did you come from?
Yeah, I'm like,
have you time traveled here today?
Like, you mean like cameraman? Or I was like, yes, that one. Now I've learned that's not the word to use, right? So things can change quite radically, and keeping up is quite hard, but it's fun, isn't it, too, hearing these different words in a way? I think it's quite fun. And, knowing what to say to communicate to people in their language up above us who are older and down below who are younger, kind of an interesting thing. It's a whole big thing about language.
It's definitely a process, that's for sure. A never-ending process, right?
Yeah.
I ask you one more question before we go.
Oh, okay. Let's see how we go.
Which would you like to have as a pet? A kiwi or a tanuki?
Oh, kiwi through and through. Kiwi through and through. It would just do the work during the daytime when I'm sleeping. And I'd let it sleep when I'm in the day, because it's a yakose, right? It's a nocturnal animal. And it would
tanuki?
But
tanuki have a bad rep, don't they?
They have a bad rep, that's it. They have a bad rep for being a bit angry and a bit like savage and naughty and taking stuff.
Super naughty.
I feel the kiwi would share the worms, share the food it's gone and found during the night, and then I would help during the when it wakes up and I'm going to sleep, I would have something ready for it. So I'd like a little kiwi.
I would like a kiwi too, if that was appropriate to have kiwis as pets.
Yeah, it's probably
They're
not.
so cute.
No.
Yeah.
And I also love the idea, right? Because the kiwi bird is, the mum has the egg. The dad looks after the kiwi.
Yeah.
Bird egg.
Has brought out the Japanese term kiwi husband.
That's right. That's right.
That's not actually used in New Zealand, but anyway.
Isn't it? I used to use that. Oh, okay.
Did you? Oh, I never heard of it till I came
when I was
here.
tour guiding. Like, anyway, so I think kiwi through and through. I want to find out more about the tanuki, though, the little, what do you call it, badger?
Badger dog.
Badger dog, and make sure that I'm not just being a little bit biased towards that poor little critter.
I don't know if you would want to have one as a pet. I don't think they make good pets.
But they are a sign of fortune in Japan, aren't they? They have, is that right? That they have little tanukis, pottery thingies outside houses and shops, the ones that wear the little hat.
Yeah, I know that's the tanuki, but I don't know if, because they're so, the painted as being so mischievous and that. So I'm not sure what that's all about.
Some more research on that one. All right, if you need to know any more, Jayne has got a big bundle there, but we might use those later on in various episodes. But this has been a little fun way for us to celebrate 40 episodes. If you've listened to all of them, we love you. Thank you so much for following and being a great supporter. And if you've got any guests that you would like to recommend, you've met a Kiwi or a Japanese person hanging around who you think would be great on the show, do let us know, because we're still carrying on. We're not giving up. So let us know.
Yeah.
And on that note, everyone,
that's all for today.
We'll see you on the next episode,
See you on the next one.
which will be a real proper episode, but we hope you enjoyed this one. Celebrating us when we are celebrating. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening. Make sure you check out our guests' links in the show notes.
This podcast is brought to you today by Catherine O'Connell Law and Pod Launch with Jayne. If you have a great story you think should be on the show, come and find us on LinkedIn or Instagram. We'd love to hear from you. See you next time.
Mata ne!